make a video here showing how you are able to see somebody's thoughts with computer assisted telepathy, especially if you search online computer assisted telepathy YouTube and then go under the videos section. You'll see a video on YouTube about that. So basically, I'll just start with this. A Gauss meter, also known as a Tesla meter, is an instrument used to measure the strength and direction of magnetic fields, typically in units of Gauss or Tesla. It's a crucial tool in various fields, including science, engineering, and manufacturing, for applications ranging from characterization of magnets to detecting stray magnetic fields. And so I searched online, does Canada use Gauss reading to profile Canadians? No, Canada does not use magnetic field to profile Canadians. This is a false and unfounded claim. There's no evidence of scientific basis to support such a practice. Canada, like other countries, has laws and regulations in place to protect personal information and privacy. There is no mechanism for creating magnetic profiles of citizens. And here's why the claim is not true. So first of all, if you were to now at this point, you could after this video, you could go to the App Store and download a Gauss meter. It's GAUSS meter or a Tesla meter, and if you're in Canada, and you'll see how all surfaces have a different fluctuated magnetic field, even the same substances. Like so, if it would be like, say it's the same piece of wood, right? There's zero likelihood that a piece of wood is going to have a higher concentration of iron that was imposed into it if it wasn't added to it like externally. You'll find out later on in the video, but it's unlikely that it would have a different concentration of iron and magnetic field, because wood's typically an insulator, as you'll find out later. But 6 inches over and 6 inches to the left, right? It's the same piece of wood, so it's made up of the same organic material, so it shouldn't fluctuate whatsoever, right? So they do say that, especially if it's level, right? Most people, when they sand it and they plane it, it's flat, right? So there shouldn't be an indication, like with your counters or the paint on your walls or the flooring in your house. But in Canada, you'll find out that with a Gauss reading or a Tesla reading, there is going to be there is a difference, because people do profile. And, so I'm not the first one that claims this, and they say it's a conspiracy theory, but it's a con. I see. So let's see. So there is no known technology that can create a magnetic field on the surface that would profile a person in the way that's described in the claim privacy law. Canada has robust privacy laws such as Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documentations Act. And so here's how they violate me with those loopholes. And that regulate how personal information is collected, used, and disclosed. These laws would prohibit such a practice. There's no evidence. And so I'll just show you right here. I will show you right here in my subliminal folder. I have a subliminal folder, which on film here I'm going to show has a different Gauss reading. So I have a video. So here we go. Here's a subliminal. So let's see. So you can see right here. Okay, that one's kind of blurry now. I'll find one that isn't so blurry. But you can see how that looks like a face. Looks like my face. And you can see here how that looks like a face, and that looks like my face, Christian Eric Garney Meyer. Because I put these in these surfaces a long time ago. So I'll just show you down here. Like I have like hundreds of these Gauss, like these. So I'm gonna try to find one that's quite vivid. So I'll show you what this subliminal metric looks like. Okay, so it's not in this folder. So it is going to be in my proof folder. Where is my proof folder? Here is my proof. So this isn't online. This should load instantly if the government wasn't hacking my phone. Once again, the Privacy Act and electronic documentation thing. So it just shows that the government lied about that. And so here you can see here, this is without non-organic, there's a subliminal face that was in my ashtray. As the world is an organic computer, and it etched this with increasing the electromagnetic field. And so let's see, there is, okay, so it must be under downloads. So you can see, once again, this shows myself, Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, non-organic. That shows myself that I took that on a sidewalk in Toronto. Once again, you can see there's the sidewalk right there. That's not that individual. So this is Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, and that looks like my face. And this is the construction paint they put as of 2016 to geocache and help people that don't have a law degree and that are criminals profile other Canadians and exploit their attributes. That's why there's been an increase in people dying, young people dying. So there's proof that they said that my phone's getting hotter because the Canadian government's using my phone as a server right now. So once again, they violated the Electronic Documents Act. So let's see, there's no evidence in Canada using it. Okay, so this claim is a classic example. Every time they say classic example, that means that it's true, right, of a conspiracy. So let's see, lacking any factual basis and relying on unsubstantiated claims. So it seems that Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, myself, am not the only individual that believes that they do this. In fact, you could download from the App Store and you will find out that every surface in Canada has a different Gauss meter reading, even dry wood. Okay, so wood is generally a conductor, or pardon me, they made me say conductor, so I'm showing the non-organic. They just hacked my brain right here. The Canadian government allowed that individual to MEG to hack my brain. So that's in violation of my privacy, right? So you'll find out, like basically, when you carjack in Canada, that's 10 years in prison. When you break into a house, that's life imprisonment because people are no longer feel safe inside their house. So now if you hijack a human body and you break into their brain, they no longer feel safe in their body. So that is life imprisonment, if not death, because the Canadian government secretly executes people. So, the Constitution will be amended and people will be executed for hijacking and viewing somebody's thoughts, making them not feel safe in their own body. So wood is generally an insulator, but it can become a conductive under certain conditions, primarily when wet. Dry wood has a high resistance to electrical current due to its molecular structure. And so anytime my voice fluctuates, so like when I said high resistance, or, when I said that, my body was hacked once again there. They try to proliferate this information to criminal networks. So getting them all right there. And electrical current due to its molecular structure and the tight bonding of electrons to atoms, making it a poor conductor. However, when wood gets wet, water and dissolved minerals can introduce ions which allow the movement of electrical charge and thus increase its conductivity. So check the counters in your house, the paint on your walls, and the flooring when dry, and you'll see that there is a different Gauss meter reading when you slide the meter across the surface, and this is because the government adds iron from the earth, most likely using electrical current to achieve such an end. A Gauss meter reading can change as it slides across the wood due to several factors, including variation of the wood surface, the presence of magnetic materials within the wood, or interference from external magnetic fields. So this is what they use. They use satellites. It is also possible that the meter itself is not properly zeroed, so once again, there's people that are trying to say that when I said zero, my voice fluctuated, the intensity of my voice. And then once I said voice again, this is people that are hijacking my human experience and trying to steal my body and kill me basically with this. So the probe is not making consistent contact with the surface. So you can see the interference from an external magnetic field would cause this. So if you grab a level, and this would indicate that the surface that you're checking is uneven or not. Since people typically have two legs and they walk from left to right, then right to left, depending on how they start. If you were to measure a typical human step, you would see that there is a corresponding Gauss meter reading. So this rules out magnetic materials within the wood unless they are intentionally added. So here's the individual's Tammy G trying to manipulate how I'm saying this once again. So she's going to be face life imprisonment. And once my name's Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, I'm going to be king of the British Commonwealth. So I'm going to amend the Canadian Constitution to execute people for high treason and attempted regicide, because they profile me and they try to set me up to kill me. So they will be face such a punishment. So let's see, a pattern of human movement would indicate the profiling system. 5G frequency. 5G frequency utilizes radio waves, which are the form of electromagnetic radiation, and therefore do produce electromagnetic fields. These EMFs have both electrical and magnetic components. While 5G operates within the radio frequency range of the electromagnetic spectrum, it is important to note that these non-ionizing radiations, meaning they don't have enough energy to damage DNA or cause ionization. So logically, that would mean 5G technology is capable of adding a magnetic field to surfaces, which would be capable of profiling Canadian movements. So in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, this includes freedom of thought. So you can see how the Canadian government has violated my freedom of thought and my kids' freedom of thought our entire lives. As a fundamental freedom to protect an individual's right to hold their own beliefs and opinions without government interference. So here is the censorship bill to restrict my movements online and me becoming famous and advocating for my DNA, my unique species, and becoming king of all monarchies, or emperor, or sultan, or emir, or czar, depending on how they want to refer to me as. This freedom is considered essential for a democratic society, where individuals can freely form and express their ideas, contribute to public discourse, and participate in political life. Specifically, Section 2 of the Charter guarantees freedom of conscience and religion, thought, belief, opinion, and expression. This means Canadians are free to hold private thoughts and beliefs. Wow, how come Christian Eric Arnie Meyer and my son, I call him Chase Smolder, and my daughter Glamourity, how come we don't have any private thoughts? And so restricting anybody from seeing our brain frequencies because they're unique and we can't be profiled anymore. So the government cannot compel individuals to hold certain beliefs or punish them for their thoughts. Wow, how come they punish me for my dreams that they cause and simulate? Yes, conductors can be used to send and receive signals, including sounds and images. Particularly those signals are encoded as electromagnetic waves or electric signals. Antennas, which are conductive materials and are designed to transmit and receive radio waves, enable communication and data transmission. Interbody communication also utilizes the body's conductive properties to transmit signals from various applications like medical devices. Okay, so basically this question here is, I searched online, can conductors send and receive signals including sound and images? Right, so you're going to find out later on that humans, we're made up of water. Water is conductive. So that means like our thoughts are, you'll find out as I read this later on, how television signals, they're measured in hertz. Our brainwaves are measured in hertz. That's why we see our thoughts, right? And we hear our thoughts, right? And if you think about it, like a dog whistle it amplifies or reduces sound on a different frequency that people can't hear. So if scientists could figure out which frequencies humans can't hear, but dogs could hear, as if they haven't figured out which frequencies people think on and amplified and heard those thoughts remotely. So you'll find out, I'm going to prove this scientifically in a second here. This is all scientific mumble jumbo, but I'm going to break it down and read it to you, like in layman's terms, how anybody, easily digestible for anybody to understand. Well, it's not in the way of, so I search right here is the human body an antenna? While not in the way a physical antenna functions for radio waves, the human brain does exhibit characteristics that can be described metaphorically as antenna-like, particularly how it receives and processes information. The brain acts as a transducer, receiving various inputs and converting them into electrical and chemical signals that are then processed. Certain brain structures and processors, like dendrites and alpha waves, have been noted to play roles in receiving and processing information in ways that can be compared to how an antenna functions according to neuroscientists at MIT. Okay, so I searched now, is the brain made up of water? Because you can't search online, hey, can the government listen to your thoughts? Right, so I had to be smarter than them. I had to beat around the bush and ask very specific questions in very specific ways to get the scientific information to say, yeah, they can listen to your thoughts. So yes, the brain is primarily made up of water. Approximately 73% of the brain's mass is water, according to the research from the Cleveland Clinic. And while it also contains components like fat, protein, carbohydrates, and salts, water is the most abundant source on the brain, according to the Johns Hopkins Medicine. What is a transducer? A device that converts variations in a physical quantity, such as pressures or brightness, into an electrical signal or vice versa. So basically, they could input an electrical signal and it convert it into a brightness, and then they could decipher that and see your thoughts. So yes, the human body is a conductor of electricity. It is largely of water, which contains ions, charged particles that facilitate the flow of electrical current. While the human body isn't a good conductor, as materials like copper, it is conductive enough to pose a risk of electric shock. So I put, can a conductive material transmit and receive signals? Yes, a conductive material can transmit and receive signals. Conductors, by definition, allow electrical current to flow through them. And this flow of current can be used to carry information, which is essential what a signal is. Antennas, which transmit and receive radio waves, are made of conductive materials like copper and aluminum. So once again, I was able to get the internet to tell me that the human brain is metaphorically antenna-like. So it is able to transmit and receive basically radio signals. So that would be our sounds, the sounds that we think in our brain, right? Our thoughts are sounds, right? So that would be how they'd be able to, they could implant a sound. And so that's how they would transmit it. And then they could read a sound or receive a sound by listening to our thoughts. So yes, an encoded signal can be decoded elsewhere as long as the decoder has a correct decoding mechanism, like the key or algorithm. So basically, I asked, like, can an encoded signal be decoded elsewhere, like remotely, basically? So can it transmit its signal start at one location and be received at another location? And this is obviously yes, because if you think about it, the radio station might be downtown, but you're driving down the highway when you receive this information. So it's encoded on a different frequency, and then you decode it in your car when you tune in your antenna on your car to be able to pick up that particular radio station. Like I'm in Sault Ste. Marie, so it's 99.5 megahertz for that radio station, right? For one of the radio stations. But your brain has a different frequency, and your DNA has a different frequency, is unique. So they're able to tune in specific DNAs nowadays with computers and quantum mechanics and quantum computers. So let's see. So that matches the encoded method used. Encoding converts information into a specific format, then decode and reverses the process to receive the original information. You mean like an electroencephalogram? Smarticus, Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, who also goes by Chris Meyer Diggins, Eminence Cristiano Meyer Diggins, Godfrey Oliver Deity spelled wrong intentionally. So those are all my aliases. My name is Christian Eric Arnie Meyer. So anyways, they basically are able to encode and then decode this information, but with an EEG, that's in an electroencephalogram, and that's seeing your brainwaves. Okay, so the ability to decode relies on the receiver having the necessary knowledge or tools to interpret the encoded signal. So I asked ASK, not AST. ASK is ask, not asked. They try to, like all these people in Scarborough, they try to get me to say AST. So they need that they're violators of my human experience and they're a threat to my existence, and perceived force in Canada means that I'm able to terminate such with the same amount of force, basically. So yes, both radio and television utilize an encoding and decoding of messages. Like in a radio, a transmitter encodes a message onto a sine wave and then transmit it using radio waves, while a receiver decodes the message from those waves. Similarly, television broadcast involving code and visual and audio information onto radio waves for transmission, and then the television receiver decodes the information for display. So a cathode ray TV is all you need to be able to see the human brain. So this is where I searched to see if the human brain and television are measured in hertz. Yes, the brain and television signals can be measured in hertz, which represent the frequencies of a repeating event. Brainwaves measured in using an electroencephalography. Like it's an electroencephalogram, basically. And so here was the little kid that was playing me at that moment. So once again, what's that noise they hear in their head? It just went to zero. That was their heartbeat. So, I'm going to protect myself. If the Canadian government doesn't protect me, I'm going to protect myself with my own brain. So let's see, an EEG are electrical oscillations in the brain that are categorized by frequencies, with different frequencies associated with different mental states. Television signals, specifically the refresh rate and display, are also measured in hertz, indicating how many times the image on the screen is refreshed per second. So again, all the perpetrators there. So now I break it down when you read between the lines. So when you read between the lines, the brain acts as a transducer, receiving various inputs and converting them into electrical and chemical signals that are then processed. Well, the brain is not a physical intention that functions for radio waves. The human brain does exhibit characteristics that can be described metaphorically as antenna-like, particularly how it processes information. The brain acts as a transducer, receiving various inputs and converting them into electrical signals and chemical signals that are then processed. Yes, the brain is primarily made up of water, and the human body is a conductor of electricity. A conductive material can transmit and receive signals that are yes, an encoded signal can be decoded elsewhere as long as the decoder has the correct decoding mechanism. Yes, the brain and television signals are measured in hertz. So basically, once you know somebody's DNA, you can tune into them like a radio station or television station. So I'll just show you right here. This video shows all the capability of hijacking the human body. I'm just going to go on YouTube. It's called Grand Theft Person. And so the people that are they're trying to recruit to do this, you're basically a scapegoat, and if they were going to recruit you, you were seen as a victim up until recently. If you're recruited today, especially if you're older, like if you're an adult, they didn't see any value into you, about you up until recently. That's why you're recruited recently. If not, they would have picked you up. They try to recruit people as babies, right? So, why don't be a victim for people that are trying to have you slaughtered rather than them? Like all these people here, this is what these people really look like. So you can't have your new imaginary friend that you see in your head. You can't be enthralled by them because they probably don't look like that in real life. So let's see. So hold music. So here's my playlist. Proof. Just gotta go down to, I'm just gonna pause for a second. So even though you can see that I'm uploading, I have LTE at the top here. You can see that it's a LTE service. That's a 6th generation cell phone tower. It's 2025. It just went down as soon as I did that. They're trying to slow my internet. But you can see how slow. Here's the perpetrators right here that are hacking my internet signal. And they don't have any power. Once again, there's a freedom of thought right in Canada. So why is the Canadian government allowing these perpetrators to be released and come back to the hospital just to violate my human experience? Once again, I proved that I don't have a mental health disorder, so I should have been released a long time ago. But they like to make me get pissed off and then pick a fight with the Canadian government, and I'm surely going to win and eviscerate them legally, and then embarrass them and shame them accordingly worldwide. So let's see. So I didn't see it here. So you go, like you watch, well, I guess I'll play this video first here. So this video shows that there's 3 different species of human.
So see where this is Castle 18, right there, the 20th day of August, 9 o'clock in 1871.
So once again, that was Princess Louise's wedding to John Campbell, 1871. And I probably show on the back of this wedding invitation that my family went to, how there was a Colin Campbell. And when I searched their name, this individual looks like me and my dad and my mom's brother. And they're born on the same day as me and my dad, and died the day that my first cousin was born and the day after my mom died. This is Princess Helena. You can see how she looks identical to me, but she's a woman. Like here, I'll just show you right there. There's what she looks like. And this is what I should look like when I was younger. And so she looks identical to me, and she's a woman. She was a princess that was at the wedding. And one of my family members bedded her that day. This is the last German emperor on the left. More than likely, this is my grandfather, Edward VIII, because my grandmother, Ivy Marion Cook, was living in London, England at the time, and I look identical to the man. This was Queen Victoria's oldest daughter on the left. You can see her right there. And this is my daughter on the right. And here's somebody that was playing me right there. So anyways, Queen Victoria's oldest daughter looks identical to my daughter, Kai. This was King Charles's grandfather on the left here. You can see what he looks like. Ignoring non-organic, he looks identical to me. This is Edward VIII. He looks identical to me. And this is what I look like. And you can see how I look more like King Charles's grandfather than he does, and his great uncle than he does. The bald man, that was the second last Russian Tsar, Alexander the Third, and I looked identical to him, but with hair. And if you look at this picture here, if you take a screenshot, you would see that these are Generation 1 Biology's feet. This is my feet, Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, where I have, you can see my ankles, you can see a little bone there, and then a ridge right there that nobody else has on the planet.
There's my both feet on the right-hand side. And here's...
This is Generation 1 Biology back muscles. You can see right there how they look, the black back structure, and then you'll see what my son's...
Generation 1 back muscles. You can see there, okay. Here's Generation 1.
This is Generation 1.5. Once again, you can see the back muscle structures are different than the picture on the left, which is Generation 1. This is my son. He would have equivalent to Generation 1.5 biology.
1.5, right there, my guy. And Generation 2.
This is myself, Christian Eric Arnie Meyer. You can see I'm a white man. You can see how they try to add that I was black there. But you can see that I have, once again, I'm white, and I have different back muscle structures than any man on the planet. And with a computed tomography test, which I'm going to be able to get as soon as I'm out of the hospital, I'm going to show that I have different organ structures, and then an X-ray will show that I have different skeleton than everybody on the planet. Like I've requested while I've been at the hospital an X-ray. They haven't given me an X-ray. They haven't given me a computed tomography test because they're trying to hide that I have evolution. This is why the Canadian government listens to my thoughts and profiles me. They knew that they've offered me money in the past to buy my blood, but they've never told me that I have evolved human biology. They pretend that I'm at risk, but this is the amount of perpetrators I bring down every day. But if they follow my organic directive, they know I'm the smartest human on the planet, and they use me to predict. Here's proof that they use me to, ignore non-organic, do they use me to predict the future 100% of the time up until that moment? So they use me to predict the future, and they don't follow my organic directive. That means my thoughts. And like as soon as I figured out that I was the boss, they stopped listening to me, and then they try to say I have a mental health issue, but they use my psyche to evade profiling. How strange is that? They need to be turned off to be a threat to me and my kind. So you can watch the rest of the video. I was going to show unique pectoral muscles, but so anyways, you watch the rest of the video. So the back muscles basically indicate that there's three different species of humans, and there's 500 different species of sharks and over 11,000 species of birds. So for people to think that there can be 3 species of human, they're not competent as individuals. Like if they're saying that they're competent, then they're liable and they're to be terminated for being a threat to myself with perceived force. So let's see. So I'm trying to find the video here that says a grand theft person. You have to put the asterisk, and asterisk is the little star symbol. So I'll just show you what the thumbnail looks like. Right there, this video right here, grand theft person, and with the asterisks, and it has the thumbnail there that I look incredibly old, but it shows how with a brain-computer interface, it's a fancy way of saying being able to control a computer with your brain or robotic limbs, but people are able to use neuroprosthetics, like so brain-computer interface connected with neuroprosthetics and hijack a human body and manipulate them. So sometimes when people like they killed my dad at when he was 54, they said he died in an accident. Then my brother, he died in a workplace accident, right? So they both were they both murdered? And it says that they both were murdered, right, using this type of technology, right? So the odds of, like, if I were to die in an accident, the odds of 3 close family members dying in 3 independent accidents would be in the quadrillions. Like, so unlikely. It's so suspicious. And Canada, I can't do anything because I've evolved human biology, right? So if they were to kill me, that'd be like humans basically committing suicide long term. Eventually, you don't exist in the future. Because my kids only pass on 50% of my DNA. So that means my grandkids only get 25% of my DNA. My great-grandkids only get 12.25% of my DNA. Right? And then it keeps on going down and down. Well, 12.5, I guess it would be. 12.5. I'll just show you in a calculator real fast. There would be virtually 0 of my DNA. So my kids get 50% divided by 2. Times 50% divided by 2. So 25 divided by 2 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 divided by 2. So that you can see that's less than 10 generations, and they would have less than 0.01% of my DNA, my evolutionary DNA. So I'm needed forever, and they're not. So checkmate, guys. I just proved that people can listen to your mind. And I go by the moniker Smarticus, the Greek god of sarcasm, because I like to chafe asses of government personnel. My goal is to try to make people like Mark Carney tear up every day. I want to make them sad. So I'm just going to show you one last thing here. So you can see all the logic that I showed you here, but now I'm just going to show you. So I'm just going to show you here, computer assisted telepathy. Telepathy is a fancy word of that you can hear somebody's voice inside their head. Like you can communicate by thinking. So once again, computer assisted telepathy. So the Canadian government, and it's funny because Google owns YouTube, But when you ask if they could, if there's any scientific evidence that people could listen to another person's thoughts, they're like, well, no, there's not. But when you type in computer assisted telepathy YouTube and then go to videos, you'll see that there's an 8-minute video, and it shows that people are able to listen to another person's thoughts and influence them to make a yes/no decision. So now think, if you're able to influence somebody to make a yes/no decision, you can manipulate who they mate with. You could manipulate what kind of car they buy, what type of house they buy. You can manipulate everything if you could manipulate if they're able to say yes or no to something. Right? And the government broadcasts indifference when I panhandle to keep me poor, but even though they exploit all my intellectual property, that's pretty strange. And I was ripped off. I was ripped off a fourplex, 4 2-bedroom apartment. Here, there's the perpetrators that ripped me off a fourplex. I just showed subliminally, and 4 2-bedroom apartments. And one of them, his name is Jason. He hijacked my health card picture. There's the hijacked health card picture, and that proves that people could do this. And so this video right here, once again, proves that people could listen to your thoughts. And now I'll just show you pictures of, because I take pictures of my face all the time, because to document who's hijacking my body. So I'll just show you here, where there's a little fancy little folder called My Face. So look at every single picture. I look different because somebody different is hijacking me. And so this one right here looks like a patient at the Syria hospital. That's what he looks like. And I'll show you one that looks like my stepson. This one looks like my stepson Josh. Right, so it's pretty strange that I could change and look so differently. And so which one is? So this one looks like Brad Pitt. Right, so these are all the people that hijack my body. And you can see how there's another one that looks like Brad Pitt. And so these are all the different people that hijack my body. And you can see this is how wrinkled my face was in January. This is on TikTok. So the first column is January. The second column is days. So months and then days. So once again, this is how my eyes looked in January. And you can see now it's, I'll just show you right here. It's July 13th, 2025 at 4:31 p.m. And you can see I don't have any of those wrinkles like I did in January. How strange is that? It's because there's my telomeres right there. I rejuvenate. I gotta hand in my phone.